Hey guys, welcome back. So there's a line in my book, Yes, I'm Fine, Just Tired, and it says that the only way that I could rid myself of anxiety and OCD completely is if I told the world about it. And I don't know why. It's the case for me, but I feel like I can only conquer my fear in life and my fears in life when I do the complete and utter opposite of what it's telling me to do. And a lot of my fears and thoughts and things were so irrational and so scary to me that I felt like I couldn't tell anyone. So in part of doing this YouTube stuff and now creating the Mind Mate, there's a bit of a hidden agenda, a personal agenda behind it, because I want to be able to conquer all my fears in the most honest way possible. So that being said, this video is probably the one that I've been most fearful of doing, because it's my first panic attack. It was the first real moment in my adult life where I felt afraid and vulnerable and embarrassed and stupid. And I felt like I was completely isolated from the rest of the world. But that's all right. It's to do with hell, and most of you guys that have been following me now know that I did have a pretty severe anxiety and a pretty severe fear over the concept of hell and eternal suffering and that sort of thing. But basically, what it was I was sitting in my room. I'd been sitting in my room for probably the whole day. I hadn't been doing much. All my friends were away. This is when I was about 20, 21. All my friends were away over in Thailand and Southeast Asia. There was a lot of space for my mind to just think. And what I now know with the processes I put in place is that is not a good thing. You don't want to give your mind a whole lot of space, especially if you're prone to anxiety, someone like myself. You want to make sure that you're doing things that coincide with who you are, and that your passions are being lived through the way you live, because that way you're thinking about things and you've got that motivation to keep pushing. But this was a day that I just slept in. I'd eaten shit all day. I was bored. I was probably in a pretty negative space. I'd been surfing YouTube for hours, and I came across this one video. And this guy, the video was called "Man Goes to Hell, Man Dies, Comes Back to Life, Explains what he saw," something like that. And it was this guy, and I thought I'd just click it. And this guy was talking about, how he was clinically declared dead on the table. He had this. I think he had a patch on his eye, and it was religious based. He had a patch on his eye, and he was. He looked like he'd been in a pretty serious way. He was talking, and anyway, apparently when he died, he was thrust up, and he saw this white light coming towards him, and it was the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen, and he was slowly moving towards it, but out of the corner of his eye, of his right eye, I think he said it was, he could see this black light coming at him, or this black darkness, and the way he describes it was like the ultimate state of despair and hopelessness and isolation and evil. It was slowly coming towards him. He was still moving to the white light, but it was slowly coming towards him like this, until just about the black darkness was about to engulf him all. He yelled out, he said, "Oh God, I don't want to die, please don't let me go to hell, oh God." And immediately, straight away, he was thrust into the arms of the Almighty. He was standing right at Jesus in heaven, and anyway, he became he regained his human life, and he's now obviously a true believer in God. And for me, that freaked me out beyond anything. My heart rate was panicking severely. I started sweating a shit ton, and I just pictured myself. The whole thing was what if I don't believe in God? Does that mean I'm going to have to go to hell now, and I'll have to cop that eternal darkness and that eternal suffering? And it was the most afraid I've ever been in my whole life, and it's amazing that a YouTube video can do that to me. But that's why I started this journey, because I thought fear and danger and stuff were real, and I thought there everything, you should only be scared if there's a rational reason for it. But I was just sitting watching a screen, and I was fucking freaking out beyond anything I'd ever imagined in my whole life, because I just hated this idea of eternal hopelessness, that idea that you could never get better. It's always going to be shit until the end of time. You know, you're suffering, you're in a lot of pain, and it's never going to get better. I think hope is a very important thing for humans, and that was really tough for me to deal with. So that in turn forced me to I developed OCD from it. But in terms of the panic attack, I called Beyond Blue straight away, because it was my first big panic attack and I didn't know what was happening. I was short of breath. I thought I was going to die. And I called Beyond Blue, which is an Australian hotline service, which deals with people with anxiety and depression. And I was on the phone with a counsellor on the other line for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, just talking about what was going on, because I didn't understand it. And she basically said that I have a fear of not being in control and not things going my way. What if this happens? What if this happens? And I didn't realise that was the case at the time, especially considering how much worse it got. It eventually developed into me forming a very weird OCD, basically. So I would often have to go outside into my neighbourhood and pick up rubbish off the ground. I don't know why it was the rubbish thing. It's really strange, to be honest with you. But the rubbish thing was if I stopped litterers in the area, or if I picked up rubbish myself, I would be showing God that I was a good Samaritan, basically, and hopefully that in my mind would prove to God that I didn't deserve to go to hell and suffer for eternity. But OCD, for anyone that has it or has had experience with OCD, you'll know that OCD is a 24/7 thing, and it doesn't stop you. It doesn't leave you. So for a good couple of years there, I was, as soon as I'd wake up, I'd probably go to the toilet or something, and I remember having that first thought about hell, or about sexuality, and I'll talk about that later, and schizophrenia. And I knew that it was going to be with me for the whole rest of the day. So from the moment that I had that first thought, I actually remember writing a schedule as well. So I'd write how long it took before the moment I wake up to the moment that I had the first thought. And sometimes it'd be 3 minutes, sometimes it'd be 12, 15 minutes. But I didn't know, it was annoying, because I always thought, oh fuck, there was 10 minutes of having a good life there, but I was ignorant of that sense of having a good life. And now I know that when the thoughts come in, I have all my processes, I know what to do and all that sort of stuff, and they just fly by, and I can actively sit back and enjoy my life for the way it is now, because it's awesome. But back then I didn't have any of this understanding about what anxiety was and OCD was, and I didn't have an understanding of myself. And I'd have these thoughts, and I immediately just kind of slumped, and I'd be like, oh, okay, cool, there's my day for the rest of the day. And it was annoying because it started off as what's called pure O. So OCD is when you actually physically have the compulsions, and I had other things. I'd have to count a lot of things all the time, and it was just frustrating more than anything looking back on it. But pure O, with regard to the sexuality thoughts, and with regard to wanting to do things of a sexual nature to people, that was just pure O. So I just have the obsessive thoughts, but I didn't have the compulsions. And that annoyed me probably more than anything, because at least with compulsions, I'd be able to show people and tell people, and people would be able to sort of gain some sort of understanding into what I was going through and be a little bit more sympathetic. But with Puro, you can't really describe what's going on in your own head. And I guess that's why I'm doing this stuff, is because I know there are thousands of people out there who are in a similar boat to what I was. And I'm telling you now, it fucking sucks, but it will go away. It 100% will go away if you get yourself on this dedicated path to recovery. But my first panic attack, guys, was just that. It was just this simple YouTube video, and it freaked me out beyond belief, sent me into a whirlwind. I remember having to, I was crying to Mum about it, and she told me to logically write down my thoughts, and that helped a lot. But it was really, that was the one that just sent me on a path of true self-understanding and figuring out who I was. So that feels good to put that out there. That was one of my biggest fears actually in starting this stuff was to talk completely openly about my panic attacks. I think it's fantastic. That sounds arrogant. I think if we can all do that, guys, it's going to help with the mental health discussion. I just literally started a business. It's called The Mind Mate. If you can head to social media and look up The Mind Mate, you'll find it on Facebook and on Instagram. It's basically online anxiety coaching, guys. I'm so pumped about it. I actually fucking can't wait. And everything I'm doing at the moment is just geared towards starting this business up. I'm loving it. So send, if you want to reach out, guys, head to The Mind Mate on Instagram or Facebook, or you can contact me at mindmate.tommy@gmail.com. I will be starting the business up very soon, and I'll let you guys know about when that happens. But until then, guys, keep following the YouTube videos, keep reaching out for the feedback. I love the feedback, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.